Happy Monday, guys. It's noon South African time, and that means it's time for Marketing Monday Live. So if you're watching on YouTube, if you're watching on Facebook, welcome to Marketing Monday Live. It happens every single Monday since the start of lockdown in South Africa. And it's just a way of us communicating with each other. Perhaps you've got a business or a marketing tip you want to share with one of us, or perhaps you want to showcase a new business, or you want to ask our guests a question about your business or advice. This is the platform to do so. It's Marketing Monday Live, happens every single Monday live. And since August, we started hosting guests live, where guests come and join us and answer questions that you might have. Guests who have struggled the entrepreneurial journey, who have faced media challenges, who have faced the challenges of social media and faced the challenges of building up a business. And of course, building a business during COVID. So that's the point of the whole Marketing Monday. And I love hearing from you. So what I'd love you to do right now is in the comment section, why don't you type "Good morning, Liezel," and let me know where in the world you're watching from. Already getting messages through from Kathy saying, "Good morning, nice having you watch." From a freezing cold Cape Town this morning. It's about 13 degrees Celsius in Cape Town with snow on the mountain, which is very unusual for South Africa and unusual for Cape Town this time. So a warm welcome from Cape Town. Let me know where you're watching from. I'm seeing your YouTube messages coming through. I'm seeing the Facebook messages coming through. And my next question to you is, what business stood out for you this week in terms of the way they did business, in the way they communicated with customers, and just overall made you smile? And it can be a small business in your community doing great things. It can be a big business that's done incredible things. We celebrate them all here on Marketing Monday. So why don't you type your messages in? Let me know which businesses are doing great things. I'm going to start with, I see Kathy is watching, and Kathy runs a little business called The Wolf Shack. And I was actually on Kathy's Facebook this morning where she posted some pictures of the dogs that she takes care of. She's got a little boutique doggy daycare and sleepover in Bloberg. And the customers were commenting about the way her service is. And I've been a big fan of her business, but it was so great seeing the comments. So go and take a look at her Instagram and see the great feedback that she's gotten from customers. And that's really nice. I'd really like you to do that and encourage you to do that to businesses. Please comment on their timelines, give them great reviews, support them. You don't realize what a long way a good comment and good feedback can go on their social media platforms. So please do that. Monica is saying, also watching from Cape Town. Monica was one of our first guests on Fitness Friday Live. You can play catch up. We will share the video. She was talking about the South African brand called Core Merino. So nice to have her watching. Mabel Manessa, also from Chile, Cape Town. Martin watching from Cape Town. Belinda van Viering, all watching from Cape Town. If you're watching via YouTube, welcome to Marketing Monday Lives. Annie Girl says, also watching from India. Nice having someone watching from India in the fabric business, and saying Worsted Fabric Business is one of the businesses that she's supporting. Thank you so much. Nice seeing everyone watching live from Mumbai, from the Eastern Cape. So our guest today, what can I tell you about our guest today? Our guest is a CEO. It's a person who believes in to continue studying, to upskill yourself continuously, and believes in giving back. And it's a phenomenal woman who's worked in a multitude of TV industries, from TV to magazines to student industries, and now has set up a business where her business helps find funding for tertiary students. That's one of the many businesses that she's involved in. And that's the business we're going to talk about today, phoenix.org. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Marketing Monday Live. Give her a virtual round of applause, Leana de Beer. Nice having you join us.
I'm so happy to be here. I'm going to give both you and me applause.
Yeah, our virtual report. So you heard Marketing Monday is all about uplifting businesses. And I've been a big fan because I've seen what you've done for tertiary students through lockdown. You started a thing called Cap the Gap, if I'm not mistaken. We'll touch on that. We'll talk about phoenix.org. But first, let's introduce you to our audience. Please tell me, how did it all start? Because you've got a number of qualifications behind your name. You've never stopped studying. Where did your love for upskilling yourself start from?
Thank you so much for having me. It's amazing being here. I think it's very organic. My story, I don't have a grand answer. I very much started initially in the creative industries. I studied design, graphic design and communication. And then I went into the industry and then very quickly learned, oh, but there's a gap here. And then I kind of pushed myself into that gap and then learned, oh, I need to maybe learn another skill to be able to do this thing. And then I stepped into it. So very instinctually and organically went from where I was into where I am now. So I very much follow, I think, the gap. I think that's my theme. But I started, like I said, I started studying design, and then my first job was actually in television. I got a job on Survivor as production assistant, and I went into I was like running around on set, just carrying things and making sure people are able to do their jobs. Very hard work, TV work. I don't know, for those people that don't know TV work, but behind the scenes quite hard. And then I did that for a little bit, and then I got the opportunity to join a magazine as a fashion assistant at the time, and I was like, great challenge, absolutely, they can do that. And then I joined the magazine, and then a couple of months in, a company came to me and said, we need some production people in fashion as well. And then I joined that company and worked on runways, and we used to dress celebrities, and we used to do like award shows, we'll dress the presenters and things like that, which I loved. It was really great. And then I got the opportunity to go back into television. From my original producer on Survivor, she phoned me out of the blue one day and she said, taking it to starting this breakfast TV show, and we need TV people. Are you still in television? I was like, no, but I'd love to go back into it. And I think that's key, is like not always having all the skills, but being brave enough to jump for opportunities and just tell yourself, this opportunity came to me. There's a reason this opportunity came my way. I'm going to grab it, and like trusting yourself. And then I went back into television, and I started, at that point I was a production manager for the show. We woke up at 3 a.m. in the morning, that kind of world, crazy, you would know. And then my speed started pitching again, and I convinced my boss at that time to upskill me to become a director and a producer. And I wanted to be in the action, and he was like, fine, you can go film all our stories out in the field, but you kind of have to learn on the job. I was quite scared, I have to say. It's nerve-wracking to work with a technical team. They're all very skilled, and now I kind of take on this role of having to coordinate them and kind of curate them. But I was like, I'm going to take on this challenge and learn what I can learn, and have bad days and go back home and feel really bad about the bad days. But then the next morning to stand up and doing it again. And then basically I started seeing that a lot of creative people love what they do, but they don't understand business. And I was like, I need to learn business skills, because if I wanted to continue in this world, I need to understand the sustainability of business better. And I think with the world changing, we see like newspapers are closing, and the whole marketing world, the whole television entertainment world is changing. And I wanted to understand and be in front of that. So I then started studying business. And then eventually, when I was in the business class, I realized that creativity is another word for innovation. And I fell in love with the concept of innovation, and then did another complete career change and started working in social businesses that's trying to innovate the way we do business so that we can be good and better for the people and environment around us. So that's kind of how I got here.
It's an incredible story, and the silver thread I see through the whole thing, not only about studying and upskilling yourself the whole time. What I've gotten from that is you were never too scared to either put your hand up and say, yes, I'm willing to learn, and yes, I will learn on the job. And that's a skill that so many people seem to forget. They get so nervous and think that they're not good enough, and you're in your mind, you actually say no to yourself. How did you get through that and just say yes? Because you didn't just come from saying yes all the time. And that's the hard part for business people and for anyone, especially for creatives. We put ourselves down continuously.
I think the first couple of times is really hard, and then it becomes a little bit like a muscle memory. It becomes easier to stand up for yourself. So I always tell my team, our team at the business I'm at now is quite young, and I tell them all the time, you have to ask for what you want, because no one will look out better for yourself than yourself. You need to stand up. And sometimes you're going to ask and someone's going to say no, but you never know without asking. So the first couple of times, I was like, I'm willing to do this job, knowing that I probably don't have the skills, knowing that I'm probably going to fail. But I think I didn't have the fear of failure. I told myself, if I fail, I'm going to just pick myself back up and learn very quickly, and I'll just read a lot and just do my preparation. I think that's also really, really important. If you're not able to do the job, or you don't have the skill, but you know you have the potential to do that job. Just prepare. Just be the person in the room that, you know, reach the most, speak to people, reach out to people doing that job, and constantly tell yourself, I can upskill myself. It doesn't have to be formally, it can be informally. And then the more you do that, the easier it becomes. And now all of a sudden, I still have my doubts, my moments where I'm like, is this something that I can ask for, demand, or faith? But it is much easier because that self-belief has a return on investment in myself. I can see over my years and over my journey how believing in myself allows me to be where I am today. And then what it ultimately does, which is really important, hopefully it allows me to tell the people around me to believe in themselves as well. Because if they see I'm standing up for myself, they will learn to stand up for themselves as well. And creating that space where your staff or your employees or your team understand that it is important to have a voice. And if I'm giving myself that voice, I should give the people around me that voice as well.
That's such incredible advice. You mentioned you've got quite a young team and a newish business. Please tell us more about what the business is and about your team.
Absolutely. So Phoenix is about 3 years old. Phoenix was started in 2017 as a response to fees must fall that happened in 2015 and 2016 in the country. I wasn't the founder of the business. I joined the business about 3-4 months in. It was kind of one of those incubation businesses that started in an innovation agency, and the private sector at that point in time was saying we needed to get involved, and government, we now know that government cannot afford to take care of every single person that needs funding. Who else can get involved? How else can we sort out this gap, to solve this gap? You know, which is right up my alley because I'm the person that jumps into the gap. And you know, it's like, sure, this makes sense. Conceptually, this business just made sense to me. And it was, so Phoenix started in June of 2017. It's a crowdfunding platform, and the crowdfunding platform is operating in the tertiary space and helping students with their funding needs to go to university. And it's about community. It's about bringing people together. It's using technology, which I think is important in 2020. How can we use technology to make solutions scalable as well as reachable to bigger communities, also easy to access? And so Phoenix started to give students alternative avenues, but also to give everyday South Africans a place to go and support. Because during that time of fees must fall, regardless of your opinion about fees must fall, I think 3 things became very clear. The first thing was, there's a problem here. People don't have the money to study, and we didn't realize how expensive it was for many, many families, especially families that's maybe a one-parent family, or families with 4 or 5 children or siblings. The second thing was, although government and many other bursary programs are doing their part, there is not enough money to solve all of the needs. And the third thing was, we found people that really wanted to get involved, but they didn't trust that if they give money, the money will go where it's intended. So how could we create transparency, and how could we formalize the process? So and in that time as well, crowdfunding is slowly growing in South Africa and in Africa. It's still a fairly new concept, but crowdfunding, I think the World Bank says that crowdfunding in 2025 will be worth $2.5 billion in Africa. So the industry is growing a lot. And we were like, well, this is the kind of technology that can solve this need, bring community together. Let's build this tech, but specializing in education. So that's how kind of Phoenix came about. 3 years down the line, the crowdfunding platform has raised 42 million rand, which is, I think, it speaks for itself. 42 million rand going to students in the tertiary space. And that money came from individuals in South Africa, across the globe, as well as corporate South African and foundations, all kinds of funders. And we've helped about 1,200 students. And then I think what is important to your question of the young team, it's not just about the product you're selling, it's also about how you do business. And are those things aligned? If we believe that education is important, if we believe that young people need a platform and a voice, then I need to make sure that in the office I'm doing the same thing with my team. Is my team young? Is my team representative of South Africa? Does my team have access to learning opportunities? Does my team have access to speak, their minds, and do they have a voice? Is there authenticity in the business? Because if we're doing that internally, that will flow out externally in the product that we deliver, on the solution that we deliver. That value that you, as a business leader, the values and the business principles that you immerse, you make sure that that's part of your business, that will flow out in everything you do with all your stakeholders at the end of the day. So it's not just about doing something good on the outside, it starts on the inside. How are we treating each other on the inside? And that will flow out. So that's kind of why we recruit young, why we have a diverse team, and why we're using technology to upskill the team, but also hopefully to have a big impact on South African youth.
So the website is phoenix.org. If anyone wants to go through there, we will post the details down below. I have a question. It is actually anonymous, wanting to know what is the age limit where you actually stop funding a student? How old is a student that can apply for funding for Phoenix from phoenix.org?
So the nice thing about the crowdfunding platform, it's not about us having very strict guidelines. We need to have some guidelines, and I'll get into that now, but it's creating an open platform for students to go on to, but for individuals to support whoever they want to support. So we don't have any demographic or age limits to the platform. As long as you're studying at a public university in South Africa, you need to be registered, and your household income needs to be below 600,000 annually. You can go onto the platform, register, go online, and start fundraising. So it's about opening up and providing more opportunities to more students. Any students that basically don't qualify for something else, we are an alternative to that.
That's incredible. So if you have any questions, we are interviewing Leana de Beer if you've just joined us, and we're talking business, we're talking personal branding, we're getting business advice and tips. So please feel free to post your comments in the comment section below. Business advice from Leana, who has worked in a number of industries. Don't be shy to ask those questions. Seeing a number of questions coming through, and we'll touch on them before we say goodbye. And if anyone wants to know anything more about phoenix.org, we have posted the details in the comment section. And if you want to know more about their funding and their platform, it is actually just posted right now. Leana, what is one of the feel-good stories that has come out of Phoenix? Something that's really touched you, one of the memorable moments of funding a student?
Oh, so many. How much time do we have? No, I'm joking. The nice thing about working in a space where you are supporting or working with young people every day. Young people are incredible in this country, and I know there's a lot of negativity around a lot of things. I don't want to go into that, but young people are super resilient and passionate and hardworking. And if we as a nation just give young people the facts, they will take it on and they will make something of it. I truly believe that. So one of our, for example, one of our very successful recent stories just before COVID, we had a student on the platform that completed her degree in the medical field. In South Africa, if you have outstanding debt, but you've successfully completed your degree, you cannot get your diploma or your degree until your last payment has been made, right? So we're sitting with some students that sit on debt, but they finish, but they can't graduate, and you can't get the job if you haven't graduated. So it's a little bit of a catch-22. So this one student, she completed her medical degree, but couldn't register at the medical council to go into the medical field. She then received support from a funder, and that money was paid out to her in March of this year. A couple of days later, she was able to get a degree and then go to the body and register as a medical practitioner. And within a couple of weeks, she got a job on the front lines of COVID-19. She's part of the team, the response team, that is involved in doing testing and helping people. I can't remember exactly, it's one of the medical companies. And that is, for example, a great success story. And if she didn't receive that funding, she wouldn't be able to register and therefore get a job. And she was just stuck in that little space and it wasn't even a big number. It was, a couple of thousand rand. And yeah, she got a job and she's now working and she's part of the COVID-19 response team.
So basically your company has saved lives because you've helped someone to get to the front line to assist in the fight against COVID-19. It's such an incredible story. For students that are watching, what advice can you give them if they're looking for a job in the current job market? We've seen what the job stats look like at the moment. What advice, and for anyone actually looking for a job?
Sure, that's so difficult. I think we need to acknowledge that it's tough out there, and we need to say that we know that it's tough out there. I think what will hopefully put you above the rest is your tenacity, resilience. I think if you're a young person, work hard at trying to figure out what is your passion. What is the thing that makes you happy and that makes you tick? It's important to know that because that will exude when you move in spaces. If you're doing what you really love and you're passionate about, you're lucky enough to maybe have a qualification in that field, you have to pursue it relentlessly. You need to know that you need to work harder than any other person in the room. You need to be more prepared than any other person in the room. And then I believe if you have the right attitude and if you are willing to learn and grow, and you're humble about it, people will give you that job above another candidate. So it's really about what you show up with. I sometimes interview young people and then they sit in front of me and I know that they didn't do the basic reading on what the business is about, right? And it's like, just do your prepare, go and read and prepare as much as you can about the organization. And regardless of whether you are qualified for the job and whether you have a good personality, I probably won't be giving you that job because you didn't show up prepared. We try at Phoenix to recruit based on work attitude, your kind of work ethics, and your openness and willingness to learn, your potential. I don't recruit on skill set because I think you can teach skill set. You can teach anything with someone that's willing to learn. And I think that's really important. So that attitude I think comes through. That would be my advice. And then it's a numbers game. Apply as many jobs as you possibly can. If you're only applying at 5, your chances of getting an interview with a big amount of people applying at the moment just diminishes. But if you're applying at 100, it's tiring because each application that you're doing needs to be customized for the job that you're asking for. And like your CV, even if you don't have time or energy, so maybe a hack, if you don't have time or energy to change your CV every time, that's fine. But your cover letter is really important. If I look at 300 CVs for a job, the first 3 sentences I'm going to read is going to determine whether I continue to read. If it's 5 pages, I'm not going to read it. I don't have time or energy to do that. If it's 1 page, it's well written, it's succinct, you've got me, you've got my intention. And then your CV is an add-on. The cover letter is actually more important to get through the door than the CV. Once you're in the room and you're being interviewed, then the CV becomes important. But it's that initial paragraph that you send me, the first thing I see when I open up, will get you hopefully that interview.
It's such good advice. We actually did do a whole Marketing Monday live on the importance of CVs and cover letters. So I'm so glad you're touching on things that we did mention. And it's so vital because often I've come across CVs where a CV has just landed in my inbox, but there is no Dear Liezel. It's just a CV as an attachment. Please see attached. And that's not the way to do it. So that's really vital advice. You've been in the entrepreneurial space for a while. What is one of the hardest lessons you've learned?
Sure. I think it comes back to everything that I do comes back to values. As an aspiring entrepreneur, for anyone listening out there that wants to go into business and they have their own business, or even if you're going into the working world, take some time and spend some time on figuring out what is your value system. It seems like a futile exercise, but I cannot tell you how important it is. Write down what are the things that's really important to you, because when you are faced with challenges in the working world, often there isn't a right answer. You're faced with 3 or 4 different choices. Each one is slightly wrong or right. You go back to your values. Which one of the decisions that you have to make is closest aligned with your values? And that will be your kind of life that you go towards. And every single time you make a decision based on your values, the closest to your value system, you will never doubt it. You will believe that was the right thing. And I think that speaks to then authenticity. If your personality, the way that you lead, the way that you manage people, the way that you show up in your job is aligned with your values, you will also come across more authentic. And I think that as a when you do marketing, when you go out in the world, those things people pick up quite quickly. So coming back to your question, I think challenges, I face many challenges. I face situations where I was pushed by a boss to do something that was quite unethical, or I was pushed by someone to do something that was not right. And I have to go back and decide, am I putting my job at risk to do this, or am I going to stick with my values? How do I make this decision? How do I make this choice? I've had bad experiences as a female. I'm 34 years old, and in a lot of, I'm not a spring chicken, but 34 in business is still quite young. I'm also a female. I often get into a room where I have to work really hard to have my voice heard. I have to work really hard to create space for myself. So that's also quite challenging. I think preparation helps. You're sitting across from the table. Is it an older conservative person? Is it a young person? How do you curate your communication style and your how do you show up in that room according to who you're sitting in the room with? So those kind of things I've learned to do based on challenges in the past. And then I think as a leader, I'm an impact. I care for people. And something that's very challenging is I have a lot of things on my plate. I care about the health and the well-being of my staff and my team, but it eats up a lot of my energy. And that energy I can't spend on growing the business, meeting clients, doing finance and all of those things, which is definitely challenging. And I think there's women leaders out there that I'm not a mother, but that's mothers, that's married, that's got a whole community they need to take care of. And balancing all of these things can be very, very tricky. And know that you won't get it right all the time. You'll have good days and you'll have bad days, and be gracious with yourself in the bad days. And then when you have a good day, just say, well done, I had a good day. I'm allowed to cheer myself on. But that's the way that you overcome that, is you have a kick-ass team around you. You make sure that the people that work around you every day can catch the ball that you're going to drop. Because you're going to drop a ball, just know it. And relying on your team and trusting your team makes all of the difference when things are challenging and when you're facing difficulties.
That's absolutely incredible and such great advice as well. And it's true about balancing. I want to know from you, you've mentioned balancing, you mentioned all the work that you've done, but what do you do on a weekend, on off time, just to relax and have some me time? What do you actually do?
I'm one of those, I live in Cape Town, like you, and I'm one of those crazy people that swim in the cold ocean. The ocean is
Join
very much clearly it's working, right? We're doing something
yes.
right. It's like therapy for me. It's a really good way to release some of my tension. So I spend a lot of time in nature. I also try and meditate. I journal, I write a lot. I sometimes still work over weekends, so I try and have one day of the 7 that is not work, that I'm not allowed to work. So I try and create time for myself. And then I just spend as much time as possible in nature. I go dunk myself in the coldest part of the ocean as possible. So just having that support system. I'm also very pro mental health. I have a therapist and I see her every second week, and it really helps me. I'm very pro having mental health days and being open about that. I also motivate and encourage my team to take mental health days. So I have that kind of support, which makes a massive difference when I'm exhausted and tired and I don't know what to do, and I don't want to burden any of my family or friends or co-workers with some of my problems. Then the therapist is great for that. And then just try and take care of yourself. And like I said earlier, understand that you're just human, and you're going to have good days and bad days, and that's okay.
And I love what you said about having a therapist to see, because so many people are so scared to speak up and talk out and mention that they're having a mental health issue or talking about mental health. And it's really vital to have leaders like you speaking up and saying, I do see a therapist, I need to see this, I lead a busy lifestyle, I need someone that can support me and not to burden my family. So it's really great that you're sharing that. And we encourage more and more people to please speak up, seek help if you do need help, and we will post contact details if you are looking for someone to assist you, help you. We'll post the contact details in the comment section. Any apps that you work off that you absolutely love? It can be a relaxing app or a business app that you have on your phone that you cannot live without.
I have a couple of meditation apps on my phone, which really help. Calm is one I use. It's called Calm.
Yes.
And it's a quick way to just check in with myself, and you can set it so that I might only have 8 minutes or 5 minutes to do a meditation check-in with myself, do some breathing exercises. So having that on my phone really helps, and I can just go like, I have 5 minutes, and I need to, for example, I'm feeling anxious today, or I'm facing some challenging conversations, it's speed. So you can, look for something very specific, and I'm using that a lot. I also, I love music, so I love my music app. Somewhere between Spotify and Apple iTunes, and just pop my earphones in when I'm doing the dishes, and it's also a great stress reliever, just to boogie around the house and getting rid of some of that pent up energy. I'm definitely pro boogie time. And just moving, getting your body to move and releasing some energy. So I highly recommend getting a song that gets you happy and up, and just listening to that once a day. And then in the business, we use several software that, things like, I thought about it earlier about accounting and small businesses and people struggling with cash flow and things like that. We use an app called Zero in the business, which is an accounting app. And when you, for example, buy something, you can just take a photo, and that a little slip goes into your books very quickly, and you can just organize it. So having smart tools in your business to alleviate some of that administration burden is always smart. Just check with some of these software can be quite expensive in the long run, especially with exchange rate. And then having a management a task tracking tool, I also highly recommend for your team. Especially one with a communication element. So you can kind of check in with each other and speak with each other, like a Slack, or there's many different types of ones out there. So I think, especially during COVID-19, during this time, if you're in this industry where your team can work remotely, checking in with your team is really, really important, and creating space for that check-in, and not to always talk about business and work. But maybe we have it on Fridays, we have a team check-in every Friday morning. And we did it before COVID, and now we're doing it during COVID remote work. And during this check-in, every single person in the office gives their highlight and lowlight of the week, and it can be personal or business related. They also give a score of how they feel, just basically generally just check in with each other. And it's a really nice way for a business leader to know where the energy levels is of your team, who's doing well, who's struggling. You can very quickly pick up the collective is doing well, or collective is being strained a little bit. They have some difficult fatigue, or they stressed, or things like that. And creating these spaces to it's just humans. Like, although people are working for a company, at the end of the day, you spend all of your time with these people. Are people happy? Do you know what's going on in people's lives? Do they know what's going on in your life? And creating space for connectivity goes a very long way in the well-being of your staff and your team, and the ability to give back to the company.
That's such great advice. And I think more and more businesses should do that, especially during lockdown. I've had a number of emails that I've received from people saying, I'm overworked, I'm exhausted, and I don't even have time to speak to my manager. So you've really given vital tips and advice here today. And we've actually just run out of time. We've had a number of questions coming through. So what I've done is I've actually posted your company details on the comment section. So if anyone wants to reach out to you, if anyone wants to find out more, we've already had Joanne James Neft saying, what an amazing company. She's already gone into your website and taken a look. So that's just a comment from Joanne coming through on the screen saying, what an amazing company. And I've also just posted so anyone can see, to anyone interested in learning more. It's Phoenix, FEENIX.org. And Leana, if anyone wants to follow you on social media, what platforms are you on?
I'm not great with that, but I'm on Instagram as well as Facebook, just under Leana de Beer. They can follow me there, and our organization is across all of the platforms, and you can follow Phoenix.org across all of the social media platforms as well.
Leana, thank you so much for your time. I know it's been a busy COVID for you. Well done on all the incredible work you're doing with Phoenix.org, to you and your team. We really value your time. I know there's been a number of lessons that have come through. And if anyone's watching this live afterwards and wants to reach out to Leana, just go to Phoenix.org for more. Thank you so much for joining us on Marketing Monday Live. That was Leana de Beer joining us from Phoenix.org. It's our Marketing Monday Live. Every week we have a new guest to join us to ask your marketing-related questions, your business-related questions, to give you advice, and just to uplift you. It can be hard as an entrepreneur in the business sense. So if there's questions for our guests at any time, feel free to reach out to them. I choose the most amazing guests that are happy to uplift and upskill and share and knowledge. So feel free at any time to reach out to our guests. If there's a guest you'd like me to interview on Marketing Monday Live, if there's someone you'd like to suggest, Marketing Monday Live isn't about me, it's about you watching at home. Perhaps there's someone you really like to interview in South Africa or you'd like me to interview internationally, please feel free to email me, creative@thegiraffebrand.com. I'll catch you again next Monday. For anyone that's interested in the Fitness Friday Live, that happens this Friday at noon, answering your fitness-related questions. Otherwise, I'll see you next Monday at noon, South African time, for Marketing Monday Live. Take care.